Good morning. It's Thursday morning. It's not raining. Whoop whoop. So it's 10:30. This is my regular weekly training slot with you guys. And training slot sounds really funky. It sounds really boring, doesn't it? It's not like that. We're just going to have a chat about, today it's goals, but this is like a slot where I'll pick a random topic. It might be something that has particularly come up with some clients. It might be something that I'm working on in my business, and I will just chat with you. I'll just share some knowledge, share some insight, share something with you, and hopefully make a bit of a connection. So if you are jumping on, it's lovely to see you live. If you watch this on the replay, tell me as well, because it's always good to know when people catch up on replays as well. So yeah, please say hi, please say good morning. How are you feeling today? It's this week's felt long, unusually, and they don't normally. Normally my days absolutely fly, but do you know what? I think it's the weather. It's horrible now, which, Emma, good morning. Isn't it just typical that we all absolutely can stop? We have sort of complete permission to stop our homeschooling. Next week should have been their last week of term, shouldn't it? But yeah, and then it goes horrible. What's that all about? So annoying. So how are you doing? How's your week been already? Has it been what you wanted it to be? Are you where you want to be? Getting towards the weekend? It's kind of a little slow ride into the weekend, isn't it, from here? Mine's been good. I have no skip on the front lawn, on the front drive now. Whoop. So I just can look out on a little bit of garden in my driveway, which is much nicer than the skip. But also it's significant because it means the kitchen is nearly done. Lots of little bits still left to do, but it's getting there. So I have proper crockery. I can have a glass of wine out of a glass at night now, not a plastic mug. It's amazing. So as you're dropping on, say hi, say hi. So today we're going to talk about goals. So why have them, why set them, how to make them useful, not just one of those things that you go, I know I'm supposed to do this, I'll do it and I'll put it in a drawer. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It'd be great to hear whether you use goals, whether you used to use goals, if you love them, if you hate them, and perhaps when you were in a work environment you hated them, so you can't wait to get away from them. Whatever you feel about goals, it's always interesting to know. So yeah, tell me in the comments. So before I start, I just want to remind you of a couple of things that are going on at the moment. So the first is that we are doing another 3-day event. So that's a 3-day Live and Thrive. So on Sunday night at 8 o'clock, we kick off and we'll do 3 days in a row. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And we are going to look at a different topic each of those days. But really they are like your foundation stuff. They're your early days, initial task list. So what are the actions that I need to take really early on in my business to get that traction, to start like that movement that you can start then to attract clients. We're going to look at how to attract clients for free. So this is a lot of the recent joiners I know were off the back of the masterclass, which is pinned at the top, and I know you've seen that, but I've distilled that down into a shorter session so we can get through loads. You can share if any of you guys that did the original have perhaps tried some of it, if you found any more. So I'm going to look at my top ones for free client attraction. And then the final day, we're going to look at getting our head in the right place, because all of this practical stuff is very, very useful, and you can really start getting yourself moving using the practical stuff. But unless you get your head right and you kind of in that positive place, it can just feel like a grind, and it frankly doesn't need to. So that's the 3rd day. I love doing these challenges. The more people that join, the more of a vibe I get, the more high energy I will be, and just generally the more fun we'll have. So really looking forward to doing that with you Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Obviously it's free, you're in the right place already. It is a case of me sharing my knowledge with you. The final thing to just tell you before we kick off into today then is that I am still enrolling for the Business Launchpad 555. You may not have seen a beautiful post from the lovely Anne-Marie this morning, who I was able to enrol onto that programme last night during a call. She's super pumped. I'm super pumped to get her into that, because she's got the most amazing enthusiasm, resourcefulness and all of that stuff. She just needs a little bit of a a steer and to be able to shape the effort that she puts into her business, and then she is going to absolutely fly. So I can't wait to make a start with her and watch her grow. So if anybody wants to have that chat with me, there are lots of additional options available which I've added, so you can upgrade so to have some additional elements to the 555 as well. And there's payment plans available as well, so you can spread that cost over 3 months. So you could have paid it off way before you could have earned what you will then pay off before your actual final payment comes out. So you can book a call with me to have that conversation. I'm going to keep enrolment open for about another week, and then we start, because those that are enrolled already are so keen to get going. So let me know, book that call. If you book and pay your first invoice, there is material in there already. I did a little live where we wandered around my house actually, and then I showed you on the screen what was built already and what's already in there. So as soon as you pay that first invoice, you can get going and start working through some of that content. So book that call. I'll put the link back in the top of this. Be amazing to speak to you. So let me take a breath and have a slurp of my tea. Now my doorbell's gone though. That's good news. The postman, I can see him. Trouble with sitting where I do, I sit right at the front of the house, right next to the front door. So when anyone comes up, they can see me through the window and they're like, oh, you're there, you're obviously there. Are you going to come to the door? So a man tried to deliver something at this massive, cupboard last night, and I was busy doing my coaching call, and I could see this man like coming out, and I thought I know he's going to not ring the doorbell to tell my husband that he's here. But anyway, distracting. Right, good morning. Good morning, Monica. So let's start off with today's topics then. So goals. Emma, you started more energized. Oh, this is about your week. Okay, so you started more energized, but need to keep going at the end of the week. To get to the end of the week, but you do set goals, but you find a plan helpful. Yeah, actually, it's interesting to combine the two, isn't it? Okay, so let me tell you about my relationship with goals first, because it's been an evolution, it's fair to say. So when I worked in my corporate roles, which I was absolutely sort of corporate born and raised really. My father worked for a really big organisation which was sort of all encompassing in our lives, and I literally sort of grew up with that culture even as a child. I went to uni, went straight into a big organisation and stayed there for a good number of years before going to another few large ones as well. And no matter where I went, they always had something which was defined as, these are the goals that you will work towards, this is how you will be measured and your performance managed, and then there was an element of your pay influenced by your goals as well. So it was sort of normal for me, and I got very good at being able to sort of help to define the goals that I was given, and knowing that I'd already sort of partly achieved them. Does that make sense? Has anybody else managed to do this? Because there was a few of us that we just managed to effectively work the system. So if you knew that you'd got a goal to achieve X, you'd end up being able to say, well, I'm already sort of there, so I'll just put the last bit in, or I won't tell them that I've already achieved this much, and I'll then sort of almost like reveal it partway through the year to say, oh look, I've already done this, and yeah, aren't I brilliant at getting so far on with my goals? So it was a bit of a sort of love-hate thing for me. It was a bit of a drag having to go through the process of sitting down and writing up what you'd done and giving the evidence of how you'd achieved your thing. And for me, it never really did what it was supposed to do. So goals from a principle perspective as to why businesses set them and why we should set them for ourselves are to set a criteria that you're then working towards, and that should then motivate you to achieve that, to monitor your progress against it, perhaps realign yourself if it doesn't look like you're achieving it, and to kind of keep you on track. That's what they're there for, aren't they? But actually I was never using them for that. So when I left and went, right, okay, I don't need any of that rubbish anymore, I'm not going to miss that. But then I started learning that actually I needed to set goals for myself and for my business to get into. I really had a lot of resentment around it. Is this making sense? Drop me a comment if you felt the same. But I absolutely ended up thinking, no, I'm really resistant to that. I've left the corporate world to not have to do this crap, basically. It's a waste of time. I can't see the benefit in it. and I really pushed against having to do it. And it was when I started working with my second coach, and she sort of challenged me a bit more to say, well, you need to switch your attitude towards it before they're ever going to work, because obviously if you're resistant to something and you do it because you think you have to, you're kind of setting yourself up that it's never going to work, is it? So we very much explored well, how could you make it work, and what if you called it something different? What if you described it in some way differently to a goal or the language that you would have used previously? And how do you feel if you manage to be able to get that thing done? Is there a sort of self-motivation that you can find from achieving it and celebrating your wins? So I thought long and hard about whether or not I was just going to keep being stroppy about it and go, I don't hate it. But actually it was clear that my business was starting to take shape, and I was starting to attract people towards me and really getting into some like a momentum of it. And I thought, well, actually it's nice, it's rewarding to be able to say, well, that's where I was then and that's where I'm aiming to get to, and sort of these waypoints that almost are like a check-in, like you would if you were going on a massive long journey. You would plan in certain waypoints to say, well, when I've got to that point, we'll stop, we'll have a reflection, have a cup of tea, and then we'll look back at how far we've come, and then we'll just reassess, are we going still on the right thing, are we on the right track, how long is that going to take us? And I viewed it very much more as a journey thing, as opposed to, well, I've just got to get that thing done, tick it off. So rather than now having like a single big goal, I make sure that the goals are stepping stones, and that's exactly how I coach those that work with me to do it. So rather than setting yourself something that's so massive, it's almost like scary, it's so big and it feels unrealistic, it feels unachievable, and it almost disengages your brain, doesn't it, when it's so big. If somebody sat and said to you, well, what's your biggest ever possible dream? There you go, that's your goal. What do you do from that? Where do you literally get up on a morning and go, okay, so I've got a dream to, I don't know, have a house in California and have a private beach or own an island, or whatever it is, your huge, great, big, massive goal. How on earth do you get up on a morning on a dreary Thursday and go, right, so where am I going to go from here? How do I put that one foot in front of the other? And for me, it's about having that first stepping stone. So I've described it before as almost like a bridge of stepping stones across a big, wide river, really big, and across on the other side is your vision. So that's your really, really long term, and it's huge and it's beautiful, and there's a massive piece of importance around. Can you hear that thumping, by the way? It's my children in the room above me sounding like they are jumping off the bed, and they may well be through the floor soon. Deborah, yes, you always break your goals down. Yeah, perfect. That's the best way, isn't it? So your vision is still important, and there's a whole sort of separate approach to being able to create that vision for yourself and build that picture. But I almost do that as a separate exercise. So your vision is on the far side of that bank, and it's beautiful, it's amazing, and I always advocate doing some work around putting yourself in that place and starting to evoke those emotions and all that bit. That's probably for another life, to be honest. But then your goals should be, well, what are the stepping stones? What are those first few? And do you know what? You can't even see some of them way ahead because they haven't taken shape yet. But what you can see is the first one or two or three. And when you've got onto the first one, then you can probably formulate the next one and formulate the next one and the next one. So I would always say you don't need any more than 3 goals at any one time, because as long as they're the right goals and they're formulated in such a way that they're useful, then that's plenty, absolutely plenty. So let's just talk about the best way that I now set goals. So this is, of course, coming from a place of hatred towards goals and resentment and resistance and all of that stuff. Absolutely going back to basics and building them to be useful was key for me. Far less overwhelming when you break it down as well, absolutely, because actually, do you know what the point of this all is? Let's just go right back to basics. You have to create some actions, because all of this stuff is great in theory and it's fun. For some of us, it's great fun to go and have a little sit with a notebook and start to sketch these plans and create this overall picture. It's fun, isn't it? It starts getting that creative juice going, and you get all excited about your business, and your enthusiasm's like, yes, and you're optimistic about what you can achieve, and you're driven again, but actually the true genuine point of this is to produce actions that you can then work on, that will actually move you forward. Because without the actions and without taking those steps, what was the point in writing it? It was a little daydream exercise, wasn't it? And it was fun, and it was indulgent, and it was one of those wistful, oh, and when this. Well, what's the point of that unless you actually knuckle down, get your sleeves rolled up, and start acting that in a way that's going to get you towards that goal. So absolutely, we have to break these down. And the point of breaking them down then even further is that when you do undertake an action that relates to a goal, you're immediately moving yourself towards the goal, aren't you? So you're not getting distracted and going, oh, I'll just go over here and do this thing because that seems like fun, or oh, I'll just spend a couple of days doing this thing over here because that seems like a lot of fun. Well, if that doesn't get you towards your goal, you were just procrastinating, you were putting yourself off, and you were losing focus of what you really need to be achieving. So let's talk about a methodology then that I use now that I would never have been able to say that I would have used in the past, but this absolutely is mine now. And it is the SMART principle. So SMART is an acronym for the following letters. And I'll talk you through each one after I tell you what they are. So it is, a goal needs to be specific. I have to write them down still, it's mad, isn't it? Specific, measurable, achievable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So those are your 5. So let's just walk through each one. Tell me if you've used this before and what your view is of this methodology. If it works for you, brilliant. If you've had experience where it doesn't work for you, tell me and tell me why, because it's really good to explore where that gets you as well. Because if there is that resentment, exactly like I had, it's there for a reason, and it's either entrenched in your experience that you've had before, or it's because there's a fear there, or there's something holding you back. So if you're listening to me going, this is a load of BS, I'm never going to do it like that. Well, why? And I'm not criticising you. I'm not saying, well, you're wrong and I'm right. But it's interesting to know where that comes from, because there's many people who use this methodology and it absolutely works for them brilliantly. But equally, there's some that have a slightly different. But most people you'll find who are successful and have grown their businesses, have moved their lives on in some way, will set some sort of goal. They might not call it a goal. They might call it an objective, a purpose. They've defined it in some way. But tell me, because I'd love to have the debate. Emma, you're thinking about this morning. There you go. Perfect. I'm in your subconscious. Yeah, SMART goals. Yeah, it's a good way to break it down, especially if you don't have a system. Okay, so let's talk about each one then and how you can use that to set your own. So the first element is that it's got to be specific. So that means it's not like a broad sort of waffly statement. So if you said, I'd like some customers, well, that's not specific enough. It's not measurable. So how each one of these, you need to be able to know when you've reached it. So how will you be able to tell when you've got to this element within it? So something specific would be to be working with 5 clients. So it's got a defined, but then you could go further and say, well, what does that really mean? Does that mean 5 people that have bought one thing from me, and if you sell something which I know is like a £20 entry level thing that you do, does that count? Or actually are you talking about them working with you on a more long term? Is it just getting their details and getting them signed up for a subscription? Is it, what is it? Define it so that you know exactly what it is for you and what it is that's going to count to mean that you have met that thing. So make it specific. It needs to be measurable. So in that example, I need 5 clients paying more than £40 a month, for example. So it's got now a really, okay, it's defined. It's not just someone's bought a £10 document from me, or they've provided me with some details and I've put them on my email list. Well, they're not a client in that example, are they? But make sure that you're able to measure it, and almost like when you first write it, reread it again and go, well, is it actually measurable? So specific, measurable, achievable. So this is where we go back to that. Is this huge, or is it right here and now? And there's a really fine line with this one, because it goes back to my previous, doesn't it? Have you already done it? And are you actually just writing this down so it feels good to tick it off? And I totally get you. I love a list. Love a list. I love being able to go through and plan my day and then tick off my things that I've done. And I've absolutely been known to write something down and tick it off at the same time because I did it, but it wasn't on my list. Does anyone else do that? It's not just me, because I've definitely seen other people do that. But this one needs to be somewhere between, you can see it, but you don't know how you're going to achieve it. So it's almost just out of your reach, but you know that it is realistic. So if I said to you, well, could you have earned £100,000 in the next month? It's not totally unfeasible, but it's highly unlikely. So setting that, again, it's just going to switch you off because it's too big. So again, if you build it, Monica, you do the ticking off the list. Deborah loves the list. I thought you would somehow. Yeah, it's a bit of an addiction. I get through loads of those little pads. This one that I've written my smart. I get through so many of these because I pretty much use a page a day, and yeah, it's sort of little notes, and then what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Anyway, we digress. So, is it achievable enough that you're going to have to stretch yourself to get there, or are you 9/10 there and you're just writing it down because it feels good to put it down? It needs to be somewhere in the middle of those two things. So if we said, okay, so it's a stretch, and I don't know where these clients in this example, I don't know where they're coming from, but actually it still feels achievable. It isn't, I'm not saying I'm going from no clients to 100 clients, because that sort of first step is harder. But if, let's say you've got a business where you've perhaps got 2 or 3 clients already, then is it unfeasible to double that? Well, probably not. It's not that much of a stretch away, is it? So it has to feel like a stretch for you, and only you really know. No one's marking this work. It's not school, is it? They're not going to have to send it in to someone and they say, oh, that's a rubbish goal. It's got to be something which is stretching for you without being entirely, well, that's blooming impossible for you to do. And you'll know once you sort of commit this to some sort of form of how you're going to record it. Let me just look at your comments before they go. I write stuff to cross it off. It's good to see the entire process. Yeah, there's something about sort of recording your achievements as well, isn't there? I think when you write stuff down on your list that you've already done. Notes on your phone. Yeah. Each evening makes tasks for next day. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I do that a lot of the time. It's more because I've run out of time and I'm about to fall asleep. So I have to write down, I must do this tomorrow morning. Okay, so your next one, relevant. Relevance. So what does that mean? Well, if I suddenly decided I was going to go and learn Japanese, total random example there, and I'd said to myself, by the end of September, I want to be able to speak fluent Japanese. Which, if I decided I was going to break into the Japanese coaching market and take my business out there, then yes, that's it. That's relevant, because I'm going to need to be able to speak the language. I'm not planning on doing that. However, I'm pretty much sticking with English-based primary language for most people. So it's not relevant. It might really interest me. Like, I might have a massive passion towards doing my thing. And I've taken a really stupid extreme example there. But this creeps in when you're starting to actually get a bit of gremlin activity going on with your life. So let's say I had decided I was early days, I was just setting up my business, and I decided to go and learn web development. So I want to know how to create a website from scratch with all the coding, and I've got an element of IT in my background. I've got the basics, like I know my way around most programs, and a tiny bit of coding. But if I'd said to myself, I really need a website, like that's my essential thing for my business, therefore one of my goals needs to be that I need to learn how to code and how to build myself a website. So I'm going to go and do a course on that. I need to check in with that it is actually relevant. And that example is a good one where you can think it's really required for what it is you're going to do, but actually it's not. And honestly, I could have spent weeks and weeks learning that coding to have come up with a pretty mediocre website, whereas paying somebody £1,000 to have done it, I could have the most amazing one professionally created in like moments. So it's knowing that it's relevant for you and your business, and that you're the best person to be able to do the thing as well. So being distracted by going off and doing, Japanese, random fact, isn't that weird? Of all the things I could have spoken about. I've used Spanish in the past, but I don't know why I went Japanese. That is weird. Deborah, there's some kind of going on here. So make sure it's relevant to you. Is it going to move your business forward? Is it going to move your business forward quickly? Is it getting you towards that goal? Or are you just going, oh yeah, but I really like doing that. Or I really think I need to do that. Because if you're doing that and you're veering off your journey, it is probably gremlins. It's probably distraction, and you need to check in with that. So make sure that it's relevant. I hope you can't hear my children, by the way. They're playing Lego. They're playing really nicely, but they're so loud today. I'm so sorry. It's life, isn't it now? I'm surprised they haven't burst in. I have a big do not enter sign on my door during calls and lives and things. I'm like, unless your hand's falling off, and their dad's here, so they can go to him, but they still want to come to me. The last one then, time bound. So you need to have a definitive end to this process where you're going to say, okay, so I've reached this milestone or this waypoint in my journey. Have I managed to get all the things done that was on that goal? Because if you leave it open-ended, well, it can just go on forever, can't it? It's like, well, I'll do that one day, or I'll get around to that at some point. Having a definitive time-bound aspect to it ties you in, and it forces you to check in with your progress as well, because deadlines are great, aren't they? We've got two people that approach two different personalities in terms of a deadline. You've got those that set themselves a goal and then like that's all you'll do until it's done. And then you've got the others that go, yeah, but I said that I'd do that by the end of the month, and they wait until like week 3 to start even remotely working on it. And do you know what? There's benefit to both, and I'm not pulling apart either of those approaches. It's what works for you, quite honestly. But time bound creates that pressure. It creates that urgency. It creates that push, that motivation you might need. So having that as a deadline. But do you know what? Don't make it miles away. Don't say in a year. So your first goal, in a year, I'll have 50 clients and have earned 100,000. Too big. Much too big. We're going back to that whole, actually that's verging on more of your vision. So your stepping stones, that's probably like stepping stone 10, 20 even. You need to know that this is a immediate, this is a shorter term. So no more than 3 months away is my recommendation for your first set of goals. Yes, you're going to have some elements that they're sort of building, but then you review your goal, you rewrite it, and you add that time frame on, and you extend it out a little bit further. So that first one has all of those aspects in. Then what? Let me just summarize. Let me give you an example first. So my example was the get clients. So I will have 5 clients paying a minimum of £50 per person. Specific, measurable, achievable, yeah, let's say, because that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to spend my time doing. I'm going to go out and find clients and draw them towards me, so therefore it is relevant. Well, that is relating to what I want to do. It's moving my business forward. Time bound, so I will have 5 paying clients paying a minimum of £50 by the end of September. Yep, that feels like it's achievable. It feels like it's all of those things, and when I get to the end of September, I can look back and go, so have I got 5 clients? Yes or no? Have I got this number? Yes or no? And there you go. So there is my first goal. Now I can add another one that says more like I will have created a website, or I will have publicised a blog, or something else that then adds to that. It sort of falls off the bottom of it. So if you've got your one now, your main one that sort of is your ultimate focus, having that somewhere visible. So it might be on the fridge, it might be behind your desk. I've got a fabulous, I think I showed you this earlier on this week. I've got a massive pin board here, look, right next to me. So that for me is where everything goes. So I stick little notes on there, little don't forget to do this, and I put big stuff as well. Is that in the right place? I know it messes with your head, Monica, if I don't line up properly. So it's visible to me all the time, but you'll have a different place if it's on your bathroom mirror. Make sure it's in your mind all the time, because these things aren't designed to write down, do the work and then stick in a drawer. So then when you get up on that dreary Thursday morning and you go to your desk and you go, well, what am I doing today? Then I can't actually remember. It's designed to kickstart your brain and to really get you sort of creatively thinking about a solution to getting yourself to that goal. So here's the next stage of them. I'm going to have to shut the door because honestly, my kids are so noisy. Wait a minute. It's not straight. Yes, it is. It's such a wind-up merchant. Boys, all I can hear is you. Oh, do me. Right, so I'm back. They'll hopefully be quiet now. Okay, so now what? You've got your goal, you've got your thing, you're clear on it, it's everywhere, it's ingrained in your mind. What now? So you need to translate these. Oh geez, the dog's in now. Honestly. I'm going to shut my door. Dogs, kids. Who would work from home? You need to translate these into actions. So what's going to get you forward on this goal? What do you need to do? So these can be really tiny actions. Go and make a post. Go and write some content. Go and do a this. Go and do a that. Whatever it is that's going to move you towards that. But know as you're writing this actions list, this actions log, this to-do list, this whatever, that it is falling off the bottom of your goal, because writing a to-do list just sort of to keep things ticking over is great and it's useful, and we all love a list, as we've said. But what if you fill your list, you get busy, and the things that were actions relating to your goal just sort of slip down the list? So this is an absolute true example of this, and I saw this all the time in my previous corporate life. These books, you love dogs. You'd love my dogs. I'm not showing you. I'll make you feel sick. She's curled up now. So, yeah, where was I? Yeah, so the books. So we used to have big books when I used to work. We were given pretty much, and you could just go and get these out of the station, these massive books. So people would write like a list of actions. They'd write their day's actions on those lists. And they might write a couple, and this is a might, they might write a couple which related to their goals, their objectives, whatever they were. But as time went on, what happens? You turn over, don't you? So you wrote it up here, and then you turn over, and then you write your next days here, and then you turn over again, and you write your next days. So that action that was like way back here, that related to the goal you were setting and were working towards, is sort of lost down the list. So you've almost replaced it with like filler actions. So you need time in your day to do both. And Deborah, as you said, like your plan tomorrow, today is a really good way of doing it. I always get that the wrong way around. So plan at some point, it might be sort of before you turn your computer off, last thing at night. What are the things I'm going to do tomorrow to move me forward? And you need to have dedicated time in your day just to work on those, because stuff gets in the way, doesn't it? Stuff comes up, you get distracted, your kids need you, you have to go shopping, you have to you get into something that actually you're really enjoying, but it wasn't part of your actions that fell off your goals. So making that time and being really strict with yourself to say, okay, you know, call it what you want, but block that out so that you know this is the time I'm doing the actions that only relate to the goals. And I'll have paused everything else, you know, whether you're turning your phone off, you're locking yourself away somewhere, you're taking yourself out to go and do it on a park bench or somewhere peaceful, whatever it is you need to do, that you're just going to work on those things that relate to an action relating to your goal. And these things then build. So they might feel like they're small actions and you might think, oh yeah, but how is writing a social media post me achieving my goals? Well, it's all going to build. It's going to build like little tiny stepping stones are going to build to get you across that river. You're having to now build the actions which get you onto that stepping stone, and then the next stepping stone, the next one. And doing the things that move you forward should be the most satisfying. They should be the most challenging, possibly, because they might be new, they might be uncharted territory for you, but moving yourself forward in that way is much more ultimately rewarding than, oh, I'll categorise my emails, or I'll do research by reading social media, or you know, whatever it is that we can end up sucking ourselves into, and it saps our time. Knowing that you're actually moving yourself forward and taking these actions that relate to your goals should, at the end of the day, then make you go, yes, today's been a good day. I've achieved this and I've done that and I've managed to do this, and yes, I have moved forward. Okay, so I didn't get time to alphabetize my self-help books, or it's something I'd like to get to, but it didn't move you forward. And that for me is really where you can start to actually see progress, and you can start to measure progress. So then you get towards your end of your time point and you go, okay, time for reflection. Where am I? If you can check in at regular points, obviously you can make adjustments. But if you've not got there, what do you do? Let me have a slurp while we're thinking about this, and I'll have a quick read of these. Any goals not done, you move to the top of the next day. Yeah, but how many times does that happen? How many times are you moving potentially the same thing, or you're writing it in a different way, or you're describing it in a slightly different way? Because if you're not moving it on, then it's still delaying it. So yes, it's good to not forget it and keep it in your mind, but it's that kind of, okay, right, so I've really got to do this now. I've done all the other things on my list. Why is that one still on there? I've got to get it done. And blocking out that time to do it's really key. Key to not having too many goals per day. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you know, as I've said, no more than 3 pretty hefty goals, which are about a 3-month time frame, absolute maximum. I'd never recommend any more than that. But actually, each one of those 3 goals, you think if you've got 4 actions that fall off each one, you've got a big to-do list. So, you know, you need to prioritise, you need to know where those align to the goal that's going to move you on the quickest, move you on the most significantly, and working on those, prioritising those in the best way. Shift on to the next page. Yeah, you do end up with far too many. Get into your engagement posts. Yeah, fine. So make that almost like a daily non-negotiable for yourself. Poorly Lover SMART goal: review every 6 months with a vision board and action plan. Yeah. So realigning yourself, revisiting what those look like, and reshaping them. I'd say reviewing every 6 months is worth a check-in every 3, isn't it? Because if you've got the timeline around, that's where I'm going to get to in 3, therefore in 6. If, say, you've gone a little bit off skew, you can get a long way away from your original in 3 months. So a check-in with it every 3 months is really healthy. But yeah, vision board's brilliant. Yeah, because that creates that really deep-seated sort of attachment to it as well. They go on the top of the list, so they're a priority. Brilliant. So we've talked about how to set them. We've talked about the methodologies. We've talked about then what to do with them, most importantly, rather than going, well, that was an interesting exercise to do. Anyway, let's move on. Now what? What about when you get to the end of your time period, or you're close, or you're checking in with your goals and you're not where you wanted to be? Because as much as they can be really effective, they can create that disappointment, that oh, but I didn't get there when I wanted to. Why is it not this? I've done everything I was supposed to do. Then what? And this really is the piece around personal resilience and alignment with your goal. Because if you created something 3 months ago, that when you sat and you'd got these plans, you'd got these ideas and you wrote it, you're like, yes, this is the thing, this is the thing. If you haven't been able to move that forward and you haven't truly made progress towards it, then you've got to dig pretty deep and find out why. Because you know why, only you know why, and it's somewhere within you. So without getting cross about it, because I'm the first person to get frustrated, disheartened, demotivated. I like setting these, and I'm competitive with myself to push myself further to get to them. But when I don't hit them, I can take it pretty hard. So this absolutely comes from the heart and from personal experience. It's another skill to learn, to understand, well, why not? And when you go through a process of, well, why not? It's really easy to go, yeah, but I did everything that I could have done, and I did this, and I blah, 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 and I took action here, and I this, and I that, and I toiled, and I pushed, and I still didn't get it. Oh my goodness, I might as well just give up. And it's at that point that it needs that check-in around, well, why didn't you take another piece of action? Was there anything else that you sort of had in your subconscious maybe that you could have done but you didn't do it? Because of why? Why didn't you do more? What was Emma's? Why have you not done your engagement posts enough? You know, could you, let's say you're selling a course or online training of some sort that you were enrolling and it had a cut-off point, and at the end you'd said, I'm gonna get this number, and you didn't get that number. You know, what if you looked at that absolutely truthfully? What else could you have done? Did you do enough? Did you exploit all your possible channels of reaching potential clients? Did you show up every day and sell in some way? Did you remind people of the value they were going to get? Did you this? Did you the other? Did you this? Because 9 times out of 10, there is something in there that you didn't do. And the reason you haven't, external factors, yes and no, Pauline, and it depends on your business model. It depends what you're offering. External factors is a biggie, but do you know what? Those external factors are always internal as well. So there are so many businesses that during lockdown have absolutely thrived and gone mental. So they're seeing growth that is tenfold what they would have expected to have achieved prior to COVID. So I totally get, and I'm 100% accepting that if you perhaps were a masseur or a beautician of some sort, one of those services where you've clearly got to have contact with people, then totally there is a restriction on you being able to reach your customers and to actually provide the service. But what else could you have done during that time? You know, as I say, there are businesses, I hate the word, but pivoted. They've pivoted what they did do and changed it into something else, and now their business is in a better place than it's ever been, ever. So yes, there's lots of external factors, but what did you do about it? You know, how did you react to that? How did you make changes? What did you do? How did you realign? And it doesn't matter what those external factors were. Obviously, we've been in an extreme situation recently, which is totally unprecedented, but it's been kind of one of those times that's split the nation, hasn't it? And it's split the world in terms of, well, are you gonna push on, or are you gonna just sort of be defeated? Which is a whole different topic around the sort of victim or the action taker. But if you're going to be an action taker, then you can take that action regardless. And it's about finding reasons to exploit other alternatives, rather than looking for excuses of, oh yeah, but you know, there was this and there was that, and the reason that this is that, oh, everyone doesn't see the value in what I do and it's all their fault. Well, no, it's not, because there was something more you could have done. There was something else you could have done. You could have done more of that. You could have looked at it in a different way. You could have done more work on what it was you were offering. You could have done more self-development. You could have gone and got help. You could have, there's people out there that can help you no matter what field you're in, that can help you get your business going, take it online if it's not an online business already. There is so many options available to you that there is always something else you could have done, always, for everybody. And I say that about myself included. So it's when you get to that point and you're reviewing your goals, you're reviewing your achievement, and you're going, oh balls, I didn't get to that place I wanted to get. Why not? And you've got to almost kind of give yourself a little bit of tough love. It's about that true and honest, yeah, actually, I let myself down there because I didn't this, or I could have done that more, or I could have this, I could have reached out and got help there, I could have invested, I could have stepped from here to here. There's lots of things that you could have done. Or how am I holding back? That's another great one. Am I holding something in? Am I holding myself back? Am I not open to receiving? Am I too needy? There is so many reasons. But knowing and assessing for yourself why that is allows you to then refocus and go again. So rather than just getting cross, have a moment of getting cross, because I know I need it. Have a moan, that was rubbish. Didn't get to my goal, didn't this, didn't the other. And then go, okay, right, now, how's my new goal going to look different? How am I adapting? What is it about this that wasn't totally aligned with me? I held something back in some way. Otherwise, you'd have achieved it. Honestly, you would. And it doesn't matter what that goal is. There's something at play just in you. So it's not about everybody else. It's you. It's you hold the ability to achieve them or not. Only you. So, what can you do differently next time? How can we go again? And then what? And then what? And then what? And if you're doing that as a constant process, you've built in your time bound points at which you check in with them anyway. So you can be tweaking as you go. So if you set something that, say, it was about to finish in the end of July and it looked like you probably weren't going to achieve, but you'd still got other goals that were running more like into August, September, maybe even October, then when you go and you assess that one that you missed or you think you're going to miss in July, how can you change the others as well? Because there could well be something that's a theme throughout, and it will be you. I can absolutely guarantee it's something you're not doing, something you're doing too much of, some negative energy that you're bringing to the actions you're taking. It will be within you to take that alternative, to shift your focus to, even just to kind of realign a little bit with the way that you've created your goal, the way that you've described it and your business. But there is always something you can do. So let me, if you've got any questions, then drop them in, and I'll just read the comments while you're doing that to make sure that I have covered everything. But tell me if this has helped. Has this been useful? And if you're taking away an action from what we've been through today, tell me what it was, because I like knowing that what I've done has then gone, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go and do this now. So tell me, share with me. Fiona, hi lovely. We're just about wrapping up, but there's a recording. There is absolutely a recording. We've gone a little bit longer today. I read that. Here we go. Emma, embrace online oh, so this is the make adaptations. Don't use the external factors as your excuse. Embrace online teaching, and I'm now starting to get global students. There you go. Absolutely, there you go. So during COVID, I've added 5 clients to my to my business. So it's up to you. It's totally up to you. You can choose to thrive, or you can choose to kind of use it as the excuse. There's, as I say, there's reasons or there's excuses. Deborah, that's why I'm looking at online products. Yeah, absolutely. It's, the world has changed. That's it. When going back to the physical contact for so many is going to be strange, isn't it? So if you've got something to add to what you do that might be a physical thing, then that's still giving you other options to be able to serve more people, to reach more through whatever it is you offer. It's knowledge sharing, isn't it? That's what people are wanting. Since I completed internet marketing qualification, Did that follow on from a previous? You turned a hobby into brilliant. Yeah, fabulous. Evaluation of a goal reached is a great idea. Yeah, and I think it's too easy, isn't it, to just go, balls, I didn't reach that. Okay, rip that one up and throw it away. But if they're everywhere, it feels a lot more significant to just go, I'll just chuck that in the bin. No. And again, this was a very much an active business practice in some of the places I worked. If things weren't met, there was just as long assessing why as there was on the initial planning period, which is brilliant. Learn by the fact that you haven't. That's a fabulous opportunity. And do you know what? Everybody learns from something. During a session last night, a coaching session last night, I asked the group to set themselves their sort of tasks for the week. So what did they want to be accountable for the following week? And one of them said, I want to have signed on a new client. And I said, okay, yeah, fabulous. But what if you don't? What if it isn't right when you have that conversation? How will you feel about that? Oh, that'll feel like I failed. So what if when you go through that conversation, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about what you can offer, you can learn about who you do want to serve, who you don't want to serve. Surely that's still a win. Yeah. So obviously we still need money. We all need money to pay bills, don't we? But every opportunity you have to move your business forward, if it doesn't happen for you, it is still massive because you've tried, you've tested, you've honed your skill. So that example that I used where you might have sold a training course and you didn't get the numbers of people you wanted, well, what have you learned? What are you going to do next time that's going to be different? You're not just going to do it all again and just hope for the best. If you are, you're kind of missing a trick, aren't you? Because you can't keep banging your head against the same wall without using something else. You know, is it a different audience you need to go to? Is it a different way of positioning your product? You've got to take the learnings from where you don't quite as strongly as you take the learnings from where you do. Obviously, when you do it again. You repeat it, and scale it and repeat it. But if it doesn't hit, you've got to adapt it and go again. If you just go again with the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So yeah, everything is a learning. Definitely need resilience, not to give up. It's too easy. Yeah, the negative self-talk thing is hideous. But do you know what? Let it come, because if you try and go, oh, I'm not going to talk myself down, sort of suppressing it can be worse. If you've had that deadline, you've had that, I'm going to reach this milestone by then, and you haven't got there, don't just sort of push it away, because almost that resentment builds up. You know, have it out with yourself. Go and moan, go and have the strop out, whatever it is you want to do, and then go, okay, that's done. Now what? You know, let's realign and let's go again. Dust yourself off. Yeah, absolutely. Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Yeah, keep pushing. Really helpful. I'm going to go and set 3 main goals for the next 3 months. Brilliant. Take the dynamic action. Love it. Well done, Emma. Brilliant. Reminds me of a well-known quote, there is no failure, only feedback. Yeah, there is. I mean, it's cheesy, isn't it? But everything you do, every activity you take, every step you take on your business, it's still learning. It doesn't matter whether it feels like you failed or not. You've still learned something, haven't you? And you've given it a go. You've been brave. You've taken that additional step. So, right, I shall let you go and get on with your day. It is now properly raining, and I think my window cleaners are here, which is good, isn't it? That'll be a 20 quid well spent. Any final comments before I go? Go and have a fabulous day. Hopefully this has been giving you a bit of a, come on, let's, even if it's finished the week strong, let's set those goals and get into next week. So final reminder, we go live at 8 o'clock on Sunday for the 3-day Live and Thrive. 3 days of jam-packed content. Will be about an hour each night. We're talking headline client attraction stuff. So how to get your clients coming to you for free. Lots of different methods that you can use to do that. We're talking the 5 practical steps that you need to take to move your business on. So very action driven, moving yourself forward sort of energy. And then the final one is about your head, getting your head in the right space, getting yourself aligned with your business and making sure that you're moving yourself forward in that way. So 3 days, loads and loads of content. Hopefully lots of engagement as well, because I will I'll feed off that. So it's always good to have lots of people commenting and joining in while we're on. So Sunday night, 8 o'clock, I will see you there, and go and have a really, really good day. Pleasure, Deborah. Go and have some fun. Yeah, absolutely. Find that summer weather again. Not boiling, but mid-20s. That'd be nice if we can get that ordered, please. All right, go and have a good day. See you later. Bye.